Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, I want to say thank you for clicking on the video. And over the course of the next 10 or so minutes, I'm going to be covering a topic of discussion that I hope you enjoy. And I hope at the end of this, you feel that you got what you came to receive. So there is this thing in the ethos, fear, if you want to call it that would have you believe that individuals that look a little something like me should not be patriotic towards America. That instead, individuals that look like me should feel some type of way about the United States, that they should have some level of contempt, almost a level of hatred and disdain against the United States because of the historical complexities, what has happened to my people, okay, in America. And when I say my people, again, my father's straight out of Beaumont, Texas, 1927. You know, that's a long story, a story of difficulty and trauma, which led him to even flee from the South to come out West. Again, 1927. My grandmother, straight up out of Louisiana, like, again, migration West. So on one hand, it is understood to me as a free-thinking man why people have that belief. So why am I mentioning these things? I'm mentioning this because in this year's election, 21% of Black men who voted Republican, voted for Donald Trump. This is telling because not only were the Democrats, obviously there was a Democratic presidential nominee, but that Democratic presidential nominee was also Black, quote unquote Black, okay? Out of her family from Jamaica, so you can call her Black, no issue, okay? And female. So while some people try to blame this shift, okay, away from the Democratic vote, the Democrats having all of the Black vote, to them losing a good margin of them, some people are attributing this to sexism, to chauvinism, to this belief, this idea that Black men essentially are not intelligent enough to make their own decisions for what they believe is in their political best interest. That we instead should be ruled by our emotion. And this 21%, I believe the great majority of them rejected that notion and were free thinkers with enough thought process to say and decide within themselves what they felt was in their best interest. It's funny to me how when Black men go against the norm in society, it always gets attributed to something negative. They'll always say things like, oh, well, he must just, excuse me for saying, but he must just love white women, or he just want to be like the white man. And he want all these negative things. People never put positive annotations or even care to ask why. And I think that this is something that should be explored, because if the Democrats don't explore the why, then that 21% will do nothing but grow. Because you have to understand that 21% probably feels ignored by the party who claims to be directly for them. And that's how the Democrats position themselves, do they not? They always position themselves as if we are the only solution for Black America. Did not Joe Biden say out of his own mouth with all pride that you ain't Black if you don't vote for me? How can a man, excuse me for saying, but how can a white man just say something like this? As if Black men and Black people in general are not intelligent enough to make their own decisions. Well, if you look at the other aspect of Black voters, we're talking about Black women, you see that approximately 90% of Black women who voted for the Democratic Party, okay? So what does that tell the Democrats? That tells the Democrats that you pretty much got this party, this group of people, this segment, this demographic on lock. And that arrogance, while delivering no tangible results, not saying that they're not doing anything, but when we're talking about tangible results for the people, or limited results for the people. It's lowering the bar very, very, very low. So back to the original topic of black male patriotism. See, there's a phenomenon, and again, I'm from California, and there is a phenomenon in California, an anti-American sentiment that exists in California, that exists in a lot of liberal cities, wherein they would have you weaken America's defense, weaken American pride for the sake of, I don't even know what, for the sake of some level of solidarity with people who are supposedly oppressed by the United States citizens or the people of the United States. I'll give you a perfect example. People want you to feel sympathy for the millions and millions of people who illegitimately claim asylum, who break into this country unlawfully and claim asylum. They would want you to believe that these people are victims. They would want to point you to the circumstances that they have endured or are going through in their home countries, so as to gain sympathy for them, to make you feel that they should be able to come into this country unlawfully and stay as long as they want and give birth to children and call them United States citizens. This is a level of sympathy, and they're trying to use this sympathy to gain leverage or political power. They will say things like, well, America stole this country from such and such, and so such and such has the right to. They start going down these paths that diminish political pride for America and the American people. And I have to reject this notion. See, at first, I didn't. At first, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe there's some truth to this. But I had to come to a conclusion. I had to draw a line in the sand and say that I'm an American. I'm an American. My father, my grandfather both served in the United States military. My ancestors fought, bled, and died, and even were enslaved in this country to fight for the freedoms and the rights and the laws of this land that we call the United States of America. And I believe that no country can be run without laws. And why would the greatest nation on earth operate without laws or enforcing its own laws? That is foolishness. Why? Because anything that you have of value, you must protect. And if you don't protect it, you cannot cry when the next person who doesn't have what you have comes and starts to steal and take what is yours. Why? Because you fail and you refuse to defend it. Instead, you say, well, I have enough. Let's give it to them. Oh, they're going through this. Let's give them this. Oh, they're going through that. Let's give them that. Well, look at your economy and look at the result of that political ideology. And the truth is, it doesn't work. We need to start, in my opinion, prioritizing the needs of the American people first. So, with all that being said, and I myself am included in the group, people who look like me are included in the group of American citizens. I did something this week that was powerful that I've never done before, and I'm glad I did. And what that is, I erected an American flag outside my home that I own for a sense of pride of ownership, to show the community as well, to solidarity, right? And it was a very empowering thing for me as an African American man to do this, because what I essentially did mentally to establish this flag outside my home was separate, and this is the key, separate my pride in being an American from the actions of people who do not have the right idea of what it means to be an American, meaning racist people, bigotry, all of the evils that exist that are counter to my existence as a Black man in America. I have to separate those from the actual American belief, the American dream, so to speak, and say, no, these people do not represent to me what it means to be an American. These are people who don't have the right idea of what America is, right? And you've seen not countless, but you've seen war after war fought to bring about a more perfect union in the United States of America. So with that being said, and people who look like me, my ancestors have been at the forefront of all of these movements. In other words, you don't have civil rights legislation without the enslavement of Black American peoples. I'm going to say it again. You do not have civil rights legislation without the enslavement or the fight for freedom of our ancestors and our people in America. Meaning, a lot of the people today who benefit from civil rights, be it women, be it people having the right to freedom of religion, the right to vote, even unfortunately, some of these illegals and their way of coming into the country and birthright citizenship, etc. All of these things don't look the same without the contribution of our people in America. And this is just one such example. You can point to inventions, you can point to, heroism in war and heroism amongst African American women as well too. So we have reason to be proud. This is my point. We have reason to be proud to be Americans as African Americans, as FBA, whatever you want to call it, freedmen and the descendants thereof. We have reason to be proud. So my thing is this. I refuse to allow someone to tell me that because some racist police officers want to have shot and killed some black men, that I shouldn't feel proud to be an American citizen. I am intelligent enough to separate those two things and say, yes, it's like you have a person has a cancer, in their body. That cancer needs to be eliminated. The body itself is not the issue. The body actually has a system or a standard of behavior that is the best in the world. It is just that there may be and that there has been elements of this cancer that need to be eliminated from it. But I'm not going to allow the presence of that small thing to cause me to throw away the whole baby with the bathwater. No. And I'm also not going to say that I'm not going to say that I don't live in a great body just because of some level of illness that might be in it, right? Hey, so what do? As you do in the natural body, in the natural flesh, you do things and you take steps to ensure you're healthy. You fight against the sickness that might be in your body. So what do? You consume healthy foods. You do things to go see a doctor, you get checkups, and if you have a problem, you eliminate that problem. I'm saying that we as a people have to fight, and which is what we've always done. We've had to fight to make this country as great as it has become. Not turning our back on our country, not throwing in the towel on our country, but instead fighting to make our country a more perfect place. And I truly believe that there's 21% of black men who have voted Republican. You've got some great fighters amongst that group. Not to say that there are not fighters amongst the Democrats, but the courage of men, I'm talking particularly black men, to vote Republican and back up what they believe, right? Not just it be on some emotional tip. It's not some emotional thing. They can tangibly tell you why they voted this way. When you hear black men saying things, and black people, not just black men, but black people, men and women, saying that I'm voting for candidate Y because candidate Z has policies that are against my faith, that candidate Y's policies more so align with my faith, and for this reason, or this is a part of the reason why I'm voting for that candidate. That's a powerful testimony. That's a powerful thing. When a person can say candidate Z has policies that I can arguably and articulate have harmed and are harming our country. Candidate Z is talking about our tax-paying dollars going to pay for surgeries for people to live lifestyles that I don't necessarily agree with, that I think if they want to get done, it should be on their own dime. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Kamala Harris saying that taxpayer dollars should cover the cost of sex changes for prisoners in jail. This is a thing, okay? I'm talking about a candidate who ran on, I don't even want to get into a what they call reproductive rights. Absolute rubbish. Absolute trash. Listen, do you know what reproduction is? And I'm just going to spend a few minutes on this and I'm going to get off of it. Reproduction is your right to reproduce, meaning that you're reproducing. So how can you say reproductive rights when the reality of what you're saying is that you're not fighting for the right to reproduce? No, 90+ percent of the conversation about reproductive rights is actually women talking about their right to end a life, not their right to reproduce. your right to delete a life that already exists. So do not call that reproduction. That's actually deletion. So you're actually, and the fact that they have to manipulate the terminology so as to not get people to really understand what it really is. You're trying to make something that is actually one thing appear to be something else, because the one thing that it actually is damning in itself. So you can't be honest about what that thing actually is. You actually have to try to manipulate the minds of people to make them believe that it's something else, because if you tell them what it actually is, they're going to see through what you're actually trying to do. And here's the thing. Why is it that when this woman, Miss Harris, goes and talks to the Indian community, reproductive rights is not something that she's talking about? Why isn't that the case then? Why is it primarily marketed to our communities? It's ridiculous. It's like I said, it's rubbish. I find it corrupt and void of integrity. So how could you have someone like this as president? No, men, there's 21% of Black men see through the lies, family. And I'm proud. I'm just being honest with you. I'm proud that Black men and Black women are not afraid to go against the grain. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get out of here. I don't believe that any political party has all of the solutions to all the problems for our people in America. That we as Black people, I believe that we as Black people have to be the primary ones creating solutions and opportunities to fix some of the ills, some of the generational ills, some of the voids in our communities have to be filled by our own people. But it is important for us to look to the political arena to provide platforms of support, or to, at the very least, defend us or protect us from outside influences or outsiders coming in that could harm us, right? And this is the role of government, in my opinion. So I don't think that either party is Jesus Christ or is God and deserve to be worshiped, or that they have all the answers to all of our problems. But I think that it is important to vote in a way that makes sense, in a way that is logical, and in a way that ensures the future of the people in America. So again, this 21% is going to be something very interesting to watch in the future. So again, I would love to hear your comments on this topic of discussion. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Till we chat again.